Greetings ISU. We're here at the Mars Desert Research Station. We're crew number 188. We're all ISU alumni and we're really happy to be recording this message for you here today. So we'd like to just kind of informally introduce all ourselves to you and tell you a little bit about what we're doing out here in the Utah desert. My name is Dr. Ryan Kobrick. I am the crew commander for this mission, Crew 188. Originally from Canada, now in the US. I'm a dual citizen. And I was at ISU, the master's program, 2003, so I was there 2002, 2003. And I am an assistant professor at Embry-Riddle of commercial space operations or spaceflight operations, depending on the name you choose. And I also run a lab there called the Spacesuit Utilization of Innovative Technology Lab, or SUIT Lab. And then in my spare time, I'm also the chairman and president of Yuri's Night, the Worldwide Space Party.
Hey ISU, I'm Renee Gariffi. I'm so excited to share our mission with you. I'm serving as the executive officer for our mission. I am from the USA, currently living in Huntsville, Alabama. I attended ISU in 2011 for the master's program, and I worked as staff as SSP 2012. And right now I work as a flight controller for the International Space Station program.
Hi, my name is Tatsunari Tomiyama. I'm a health safety officer during Crew 188 mission. I'm from Japan, but I'm working at the United States right now. I'm a ISU alumni from 2015 at the Ohio, and what I'm doing is I'm still a student like you guys at the masters at the Accredited Institute of Technology, and I'm trying to getting more practice for human factor specialist as a role.
And I'm Dr. Sarah Jane Pell. I am here as the artist in residence and also the journalist in residence. I'm from the Wurundjeri country of the Kulin Nation, also known as Melbourne, Australia. I was involved with ISU at the summer session program in Strasbourg 2006, and I've been involved as faculty with the Space and Society program in both the Southern Hemisphere program and the SSPs worldwide. And I have joined ISU as a visiting faculty member and guest lecturer. I'm here working on a project as an Australia Council Fellow, working to understand performing astronautics. I'm also here representing Monash University, working with the Monash Immersive Visualization Platform, working with 360 degrees cinematic technologies to capture what we're doing here at the Mars Desert Research Station for a VR experience.
Hello, bonjour. My name is Zach Trolley. I'm the crew engineer here at the MDRS Crew 188. My job is to make sure that all these guys have their research up and running at all the time, and we got water and electricity. I'm from Calgary, Alberta, and I practice as an engineer there in real life.
Hi, my name is Julia DeMarinis. I am the crew astronomer and green hab operator. I am from the USA and I live in Oakland, California. And I am a master's graduate from the 2011 master's program in Strasbourg.
Oh, I totally forgot. I'm SSP 14. Totally forgot to say that.
And is that it? How do I do?
What do you do?
For my job, I am a science instructor at the Chabot Space and Science Center located in Oakland, California, and I'm also the public outreach coordinator for Blue Marble Space. That's it.
Cool. Well, as you can see, we have people from all over the world in terms of where they're from and where they're working, and a huge range of different backgrounds and specialties. But we're all brought here together because of the International Space University and our experience. And so part of what we want to share with you right now in this kind of shorter video is a little bit about our research and the projects that we're undertaking while we're here. We're only here for 2 weeks, so that's a lot of, there's a lot of projects that have to be jammed into a very fast-paced timeline. Just like you can imagine on the International Space Station or a shuttle mission, there's not a lot of daylight and time to accomplish all that. So we're working from almost 8 a.m. straight to 11 p.m. On all of these things and maintaining the hab itself. So just a kind of a quick overview, we'll go around the horn here, kind of the more fun stuff like what we're actually doing. With my lab back on Earth at Embry-Riddle, we're looking at spacesuit range of motion, so we're doing video capture, and also in my lab we do motion capture in 3D. So the idea is that you would send an operational checklist to a crew out in the field, have them examine how their suits are moving, and possibly help identify potential risk areas or potential injuries or issues with the suits. Maybe there's a shoulder bearing or something that locks up. So it's a kind of a precursor to the operations side of things. In addition to that, I'm also looking at dust-related projects, looking at how abrasion affects gloves. So I've got these gloves from Final Frontier Design, and looking how I wear and tear them out in the field. We're also looking with NASA Glenn Research Center, the dust load, how much dust actually comes into the habitat. So I'm measuring with various filters and vacuums the dust load that is coming off of the crew from their EVA or their field excursion. Additionally, I'm also looking at the EVA metrics, meaning how long a crew's out in the field, how much effort is going into that. I'm looking at biometrics, more as a precursor study, not as a full study, to get an idea of how we would map human performance and make humans most efficient in the field, to ensure that we're not breaking them and they're able to last in a full Mars mission.
And for my research that I brought, right now I'm working with the NASA scientists at Kennedy Space Center on a new plant growth prototype piece of hardware. It's the next version of the Veggie system, and right now Veggie is a plant growth two-part experiment that's on the International Space Station, and the next version of that is a passive watering system called Oasis, or the Orbital Aquifer System. So right now we're testing it out in the green hab that we have on site to grow lettuce leaves and basil. And it's a different way to get the water to the plants in reduced gravity environments. I'm also bringing a project called Project Stardust, which includes field sampling and collecting topsoil from hilltops around the habitat and on site here, and to sift them down and examine them for very, very small micrometeorite particles. And with that, we can image the micrometeorites and get some really beautiful images and examine what they're made of, and it gives us a better idea of how the solar system was formed. So it's a very cool project, and I'm so excited to share it with you.
I wrote in the point of view from medical background and the human factors system. So to make more efficient work in terms of a career of astronauts, I'm looking for how the astronauts are going to change their mind, what types of company or in the future investment requires for to make more astronauts happy and makes more work efficient to in this kind of like extreme environment system during 2 weeks. Yeah, that's so what we're doing is like get the get the people's mind from how people's likes are going to change as time's going on for towards the end of the mission, and they're going to evaluate what the quality of life can improve during this extreme environment.
And I've been working on 2 projects. The first is Performing Astronautics, and that's part of an ongoing body of work looking at how humans in both analog and simulation environments in preparation for spaceflight are performing tasks and also expressing themselves in astronautical contexts. So this is I guess an arts-led research program that is mixing methodologies from both the arts and the sciences, combining biometrics, combining motion capture, human performance, human factors elements with HCI elements or human-computer interaction, and very expressive behaviors, everything from gathering imaginative, improvised action and expression right through to things that have been staged and set up as performance challenges. In this instance, we've been able to engage the crew to work on some education and outreach opportunities and learning opportunities with a 360-degree camera. So that's a combined project called Bending Horizons 360. They include preparing for a future Mars Olympiad, how we might compete, perform, work as a team and as a crew, expand upon our range of motion and our abilities, including everything from visibility to weight mobility, and other opportunities working with, say, the astronomer here to look at how even our perspectives shift when we use a 360-degree camera to document a phenomenon such as the lunar eclipse, which happened last week.
As an engineer, I'm looking at the systems here at MDRS. The infrastructure of a Martian mission is really interesting to me. As we go there, I mean, lots of people looking on the rockets, on the spacesuits, but when people are living there, their life support systems are going to become extremely vital. So I'm hoping to increase the fidelity of that infrastructure on simulation so we can get as close to the real thing here on Earth. And as well, working on an extension of my term project I did at SSP about spinning in technology from the space sector into other industries so that the technology we build for space flight can actually impact life here on Earth and improve both at the same time.
And as an astrobiologist, everyone wants to know, are we alone in the universe? And so one of the projects that I'm bringing here is a life detection device that detects chlorophyll reflectance, or fluorescence. So basically, this would be potentially used on a Mars rover underneath, looking down, looking for that fluorescence, trying to give us a better sense of if there is anything presently or previously alive on the surface of Mars. And as a crew astronomer, mainly just looking at the sun. We have a solar telescope here, through a filter, don't worry. And I think that's about it.
Cool. So I guess briefly we were going to kind of have one more little around the table here about why exploration, why Mars is important. I think that you guys are in the perfect position to really explore that particular question because it's something you're going to have to deal with your entire career in the space industry, is helping communicate why it's important. And I think it's important for everyone in different reasons. There's certain things that kind of stand out more than others. Some say it's our imperative that we need to have a backup plan. But there's also the reflecting back on life here on Earth. So I kind of see it as more of the later, where it's it's important for us to push out into the cosmos and explore because that's what we do, and it's the way we can expand our knowledge and really figure out how to solve hard problems, mostly so we can help save our own planet as well. I forget, it was a recent thing that I saw online where there's there's no plan B, this is your planet kind of thing, this is plan A. So that from that perspective, it's extremely important. And as someone who, I'm a junkie for exploration, I think all of us are, inherently, is to go out and see new things and to kind of challenge ourselves as well. So I challenge you guys, wherever you are, to make sure you take time out of your program to explore your environment where you are in your neighboring countries or country, so that you really see more of the people, more of the cultures, more of everything.
And for me, I really feel like as just our human nature, we have this innate desire to explore, to look up at the stars and to wonder and to dream about what more we could do for our human race and where we could go. And Mars is one example of a place that is very much within our reach. And before we can send humans to Mars, we need to figure out the logistics of not only getting there, but what we do once we arrive, and that includes setting up some kind of colony or base, and having food and water and shelter, the things that we need as humans to survive in such an extreme environment. And analogs such as the Mars Desert Research Station really enable us to figure out those how and why and all those details of how to run a mission on, off the planet where we are from. And so for me, this is a really great space adventure where you learn about team dynamics and how to do research in an extreme environment. And so that's why I participate, and that's why I love exploration.
I'm personally really like space activity, like Lance's type of space activity junkie. Anyway, well, because I'm interested in space, also as a human factor practitioner, the human factor regulation is a requirement in space industry, including medicals and aviation industry as well. Space activity going to more commercial for near orbital situation. The human factor problem is you can't ignore the regulation to make new systems for astronauts or for commercial suborbital astronauts or orbiter. From both of point of view, I'm really interested in like space activity and human factor practicing, and I'm looking for like more and more to develop for the future.
And I'd like to make a special shout out to the Southern Hemisphere program participants this year who are working specifically on the challenge of developing a framework for the future Australian Space Agency. Being here at the Mars Desert Research Station, I am reminded every day of what we learnt at ISU, that we are an international, intercultural and interdisciplinary team, and working together we can achieve great things. And systems that need to support human life or exploration off our planet require such an approach. So it's been tremendous to look at what we have here, what our limitations are, and also our possibilities, and to see that reflected back into a kind of a comparable environment in the Australian outback, for instance. So there you are at the University of South Australia in the ISU program. You're working with our strengths in remote sensing, in telecommunications, but also link into our strengths within mining, within natural resource management in these desert, arid environments, in these harsh climates, where we have this history of 60,000 years of custodianship of these types of climates. I think there's a real opportunity here, and I think all of us have learnt so many lessons in this past 9 or 10 sol days here that we are going to be sharing and taking back to our communities, and we would love your engagement, we'd love your questions, we'd love to continue to work with you and the wider communities in getting people to Mars.
Canada has a lot of the same issues that Australia does, but on the opposite end of the climate spectrum. So our isolation is through the cold and the tundra, and getting to Mars will teach us so much about living in those environments. And there's a big issue in Canada about food security, and I'm a complete believer that if we can learn to grow food on Mars, we can grow food anywhere on Earth. And likewise for a lot of life support systems, if we can master doing it on Mars, then Earth is a breeze. So that exploration spirit that helps us reach further than where we are now, it brings out the best in humanity, and it really allows us to invent and to innovate new things, and that's why I'm here, to try and enable those things.
All right, way to save the best for last. Why I'm here? Well, as an astrobiologist, we always wonder if we're alone in the universe, and Mars is, of course, on the edge of the habitable zone of our sun. So anything that involves any sort of Mars simulation was really appealing. the sense of adventure and isolation was really also appealing, and to work in a small enclosed quarters, dealing with team dynamics is also something that I find challenging and rewarding. So for those reasons is what brought me to the Mars Desert Research Station.
So I think with that, this is really the beginning of a dialogue. We encourage you to reach out to us with questions through a lot of different forms, off through social media, but of course emails. We have a Reddit Q&A that you can add to as well, and that way we can kind of track how the answers evolve. And I think we also want to thank ISU for bringing us all together, because if we didn't all have that common past, we wouldn't be here today. And so the current classes of ISU and future classes of ISU, I hope you recognize that it's not just the potential opportunities that you have now, but there's opportunities in the future for you to collaborate. And it's great to kind of bring that Space Mafia family back together over and over and over. And I think with that, we'll close with a semi-embarrassing but fun cheer on 3. What is it? Line?
ISU, 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 rock!